2026 is going to be the year of skills in our agents. The beauty of skills is that it allows us to create something once and reuse it many times across different agentic experiences to have our agents and our copilots do things. And in this demo, I'm going to show you the Dataverse skills that were just released at Build this week by Kent Weir and Suresh Kshasegar from the Dataverse team at Microsoft. This is really exciting. I was absolutely blown away by what I saw and what I've been able to do with these just in the last 48 hours being hands-on with it. So if you haven't had a chance to look at this, you need to go to github.com/Microsoft/Dataverse-skills. This is how you get access to the project. And to install this, simply copy paste this into GitHub Copilot and it will do the rest. Now there might be some stuff you have to download onto your PC, but it's pretty easy and GitHub Copilot will tell you how to do everything. All right, let's get into VS Code and see this in action. So once you've installed it, you simply need to prompt in GitHub Copilot, and these Dataverse skills will get to work and start to do some really amazing things for you. So first things first, let's have this create some tables, some columns, add it to a solution, and even add the columns to the form. So I'm going to paste this in. So I am going to tell it, create a solution. It's going to be called Nathan GitHub Test 3. Use the Nathan Rose publisher, really important. We want to make sure that we use our publisher so that tables inherit our prefixes and all of that. Once you've created the solution, create a table called Nathan GitHub Test 3 with these columns: name, string, description, multi-line text, type, choice, with options, choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. Add all columns you've created to the form. This is really, really cool. Next, create a table called Nathan GitHub Test 4 with columns name, string, and Nathan GitHub Test 3, which is a lookup to the Nathan GitHub Test 3 table. Add all columns you've created to the form. So this is basically the work of a junior functional consultant, right? Creating the solution, creating the tables, creating the columns, and adding all of this to the form. This is stuff that we've done in the Maker portal for years. I am going to do this from a single prompt in GitHub Copilot. Now, I've tested all of this with the exception of creating two tables at once and creating a relationship between them. So let's cross our fingers and toes and see if this works. So I'm going to send this to GitHub Copilot to start processing it. It's going to start analyzing it. It's going to start calling the various Dataverse plugins that it has at its disposal. So it's thinking through this. And what it's actually doing behind the scenes is it's actually writing Python script to complete these tasks. Some of you may have played with the Python SDK for Dataverse. This is where it starts to come together because we are seeing Python script being used. It uses some MCP behind the scenes. And so this is all starting to come together to make these skills really, really powerful in GitHub Copilot and to ultimately be able to do stuff that used to take us a lot of time configuring with just natural language. So you can see it is thinking through it. It is setting up the table. Now, you do want to keep an eye on GitHub Copilot because it will occasionally ask you to approve things. It will ask you to keep changes to various scripts that it's going to be writing. We'll see if it does that here. That's kind of been my experience with it over the past few days. I don't really know a lot about Python, so I just say, sure, do it. And all the outputs I've seen have been what I've expected to see. Okay, so it's just made some changes to the script. Let me click keep. The script that it needs. It is now creating the solution, and it will then get started creating the tables. So what it does first is it figures out what it needs to do, it writes the Python script that it needs, and then it gets to work doing it. All right, so it's creating tables, and it's just waiting to be notified that that's completed. You'll also see similar types of notifications when it's publishing. It'll say, hey, this is going to take a bit of time. All right, and GitHub has completed the task. So I've been recording for about 9 minutes. Now I have chopped out some of the pauses, but in 9 minutes, according to GitHub, it has created 2 tables in Dataverse. It has created them within a solution with a publisher, added columns, and added them to the form, as well as a relationship between those tables. This is stuff that used to take us a lot of time as functional consultants to do. So let's get into Make.Power-Apps and let's see how it did. Let's verify the outputs from this plugin. So I'm going to come over here to Make.Power-Apps and let's refresh. So we've got, you can see I've got the GitHub Test 2 solution. Let's refresh and see if there is a solution called GitHub Test 3. Okay, it is GitHub Test 3, and it has the Nathan Rose publisher. We're off to a good start. Let's now click into the solution, and let's look at our solution elements and see how we did. Wait for this to load. All right, and I see both tables, GitHub Test 3, GitHub Test 4, using my publisher prefix. Very, very good. So let's start with the Test 3 table. Let's come here to columns, and we asked it to create a name, a description. So we have a name, we have a description, multiple lines of text. The name is a single line of text, and we asked it for a type as a choice. And we asked for choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3. Let's see how it did. Choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3. Now, one thing I'll notice is that it created this as a local choice, not a global choice. Something, I'll need to experiment with this to see if I can prompt it to say, hey, create that as a global choice, not a local one. But it defaulted to local. So it'd be interesting to, again, have to play with it a bit and say, hey, look for a global choice with these options, otherwise create one, something like that. But still, it did what I told it to do, which is really, really cool. All right, now let's take a look at the form. This is usually the bit that is really a pain, adding everything to the form. Some people love it. I don't particularly enjoy this part of it. Let's see how it did. Well, I don't see the columns here in the unused, and look at that. I've got name, I've got description, and I've got type. That's really cool. So it did everything I asked it to do. All right, let's go to the test 4 table, and let's take a look at that one. Come here to columns. So we asked for a name, and we asked for a lookup column. So name, single line of text, very nice. And Nathan GitHub Test 3, lookup. Now this is really cool. When I was playing with this earlier, look at this. It appended ID to the lookup column. Now this is something, I didn't know this before I worked with technical consultants, but when you add lookup columns out of the box, it doesn't append ID to it. And I would always get yelled at by my technical consultants saying, why didn't you append ID to the lookup column? Well, I didn't know you needed to do that. Now obviously I do. But the Dataverse plugin skills knew to do that. They knew that developers like to see that. It lets them know that that is a lookup column. It's just generally followed practice. Low coders like myself don't always follow it, but it's really cool to see that this skill is just, there's little details like that. That's really, really cool. So it's added those. Let's come to the form and see how we did. And it has added our name and our lookup column to the form. That is amazing. So from a single prompt, we have created a solution. We specified a publisher. We've created a table with columns specified and added them to the form. We did that for 2 tables, created a relationship between them. If we come back here out of the form editor, let's go into our relationships, and I'm expecting to see a many-to-one, and there it is. So it has figured all this out for us with natural language. It has done something in about 10 minutes that used to take us hours and hours and hours to do. So this is really, really awesome. This is amazing work from the Dataverse team. This is really exciting. All right, one more thing I want to show you is you can use the Dataverse Skills to help you with security in Dataverse. So particularly assigning security roles and moving users between business units. Now, this is something that comes up a lot on projects. When we move a user from one BU to another, they lose all their security roles and we have to re-add them. This is a huge time-consuming problem. Now, literally just last week, I had a client ask me, is there a way to automate this? And I found a way to do it in Power Automate, but, and I was going to film that demo this week, but this is now completely, so what I'm looking for, irrelevant, because we can do this agentically now. So what I'm going to show you is I've got a user here called QTest, and it is in a BU called Nathan Test. This is a child BU of our root BU. And the user has a number of roles. They've got 4 or 5 roles assigned to them. So let's see Dataverse Skills in GitHub Copilot do its thing. So I'm going to copy paste my prompt in. So I'm going to say move user QTest to the root business unit and reassign all current security roles once it's moved to the new BU. So let's see it do its thing. So it's going to analyze this, and then what it's going to do is, it's like we saw with the solution and the tables, is it's going to start writing Python script behind the scene. So it's got the BU, it's found the GUID of the user, and it's going to get to work on solving this for me. All right, it's done its thing. So it went through the code, found a lot of duplicated code, found a file, rewrote the file, and it has now moved the user QTest to the root BU from the Nathan Test BU, and it has reassigned these 3 security roles: environment maker, approvals administrator, and basic user. So let's go to the PPAC and let's see how it did. All right, so it's in the root BU, and it has these 3 roles assigned. Very, very, very cool. This is a huge time saver, particularly for admins when you do need to move users around between BUs. You don't have to keep track of what security roles they had. You simply need to use this skill, this Dataverse skill, in GitHub Copilot, and it will go and do that for you. Now, just as a reminder, it will maintain team memberships, but it doesn't maintain security roles when you move users between BUs. So that is a huge time saver in terms of simply using an agent to move users and maintain their security roles. So we've seen the new Dataverse Skills in GitHub Copilot create a solution, use a publisher for the solution that we've specified, create tables, add columns to the table, add them to forms, create relationships between tables, publish everything, and make it available for us to consume. And we've seen it move users between business units while maintaining their current security roles. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what you can do with the Dataverse Skills from the Dataverse team, but I would highly encourage you to get hands-on with this today. So again, go to GitHub /Microsoft/Dataverse-Skills. Download this, get started with it today. It is absolutely going to blow your mind with what it can do and how much time it's going to save you and how much more efficient you will be crafting solutions on the Power Platform. All right, that's it from me. Go do something awesome on the Power Platform today, and I will talk to you soon.